I shouldn't be here. Not a day goes by at Fast Company magazine when that doesn't pop into my head, often several times an hour. I walk through the revolving glass doors at 7 World Trade Center on a Tuesday morning, passing a herd of crisply dressed finance bros from Moody's before swiping my Silverstein Properties ID and heading to the elevator. Everyone's shirt is tucked in except mine. I shouldn't be here. I have the anxiety-inducing experience of running into our editor-in-chief near the marble-lined elevator bank that goes up to the 29th floor. We ride up together. We're about the same age, and she went to Northwestern. One of our younger staff writers who works under me also went to Northwestern. The two of them have a lot to chat about. I shouldn't be here. We arrive for the first editorial meeting of the week. It's in a spacious, corner conference room we call jail, a name that makes more sense after you learn that our entire floor is modeled on a Monopoly board because our old CEO thought that was clever and the billionaire entrepreneur who owns our magazine went along with it. Each of the lockers in the center hallway has a yellow magnet on it that says Community Chest. And we also have conference rooms called Boardwalk and New York in opposing corners. Now you can picture it, right? The office is spiffy overall, but jail is the most impressive part. It has a giant monitor, high-tech sound system, and floor-to-ceiling windows and beautiful views of the 9/11 Memorial and New York Harbor. The picturesque scene outside the southern window is dominated by a large swath of One World Trade Center, which sparkles on a sunny day like a giant blue fortress from the future. Being in jail for a big editorial meeting makes you feel like you're in one of those movies that still depict the magazine industry as glamorous, because it's clear the screenwriters know nothing about the magazine industry. This is the Nora Ephron version of a magazine job. I shouldn't be here. At the meeting, we discuss all our big editorial packages, and in case I haven't mentioned it yet, Fast Company is one of the country's leading business magazines, with a focus on innovative leadership, technology, design, and startup culture. As the senior editor on the news desk, I get to touch every one of these topics on a daily basis. It's all very cool stuff in the purest sense of the word cool, and you can tell we're writing for a first-rate audience by the caliber of feedback we receive. For our readers, college isn't just an expectation, it's a birthright. The only time our magazine speaks directly to people without college degrees is when it runs one of those clicky listicles about, 10 great jobs that don't require a college degree, which don't really matter to anyone who works at Fast Company because they all have college degrees, including the people who write those listicles. We're not talking about 4-year degrees from mediocre state schools here. Journalism is one of those shiny white-collar industries that both attract and favor people from the same handful of shiny institutions: Columbia, NYU, maybe Boston University if you want to shake things up. Established journalists adore people from these schools, and established business journalists adore them even more. For all the talk of making media more accessible and inclusive, we're basically an insular profession built on relationships, and those relationships rely on tight-knit networks furnished by very selective, very expensive institutions of higher learning. Suffice it to say, if you want to work in media and you go to a great school, you have a shot at getting your foot in the door. And if you go to an Ivy League school, you might even get to work at the New Yorker. Then there's me. How do I even begin to describe my education? Technically, the highest level of schooling I completed was 10th grade. That's the last time I made it through an entire school year. I remember it vividly because I was 15, which is the same age I was when I had my first kiss, my first date, and my first breakup, all of which coincidentally happened near the entrance of the same Lord & Taylor. Our family lived in a lower middle-class neighborhood in Trenton, New Jersey, a once great manufacturing center that was already well into its post-industrial decline by the time my brothers and I were born. Our playgrounds were abandoned factories where they used to make things out of rubber and steel and iron. Perhaps we were white trash, but I can't recall anyone using that term as an actual pejorative. So yeah, at 15, I thought things were basically good and pretty normal. But somehow, it all seriously spiraled out of control about 7 months later in my junior year of high school, when I was ejected for behavioral problems and locked up for a short stint in a mental institution.